And then he will appear to James. James was his brother who denied that he was the father of the child. And then to the apostles. And then, last of all, as to one untimely born, he appears to Paul. Paul is a state of consciousness. These are all states of consciousness. The last one is to that state called Paul. For in that state, you are incorporated into the body of the risen Lord. He will ask you to name the greatest thing in the world. When you're in that state, and you stand before the risen Lord, there's only one being. And you will answer in the words of Paul: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. At that moment, the risen Lord will embrace you. And your bodies will fuse. And you'll become one with the Spirit of God the Father. One body, one Lord, one God and Father of all. He who is united to the Lord becomes one spirit with him. There's a union that takes place, and not any power in the world can separate you from that moment on. You are then sent into the world to tell the eternal story. And you will tell it, as I am telling it. And you will tell it from experience. You will not be speculating. You will not be theorizing, trying to set up some workable philosophy of life, as all the little isms of the world, based upon theory, based upon what they think it ought to be in this world, not as it really is in eternity. So you will now be sent, and you may think, I am not educated. I am not qualified. I have no intellectual, social, financial, or any other background. You don't need any background. You will speak with the authority of the one who sent you, for you are the very one who sent you. He who sees me sees him who sent me. But you've never seen me. As you're told, the works that he granted me to accomplish, these very works which I am doing, bear witness that the Father has sent me. And the Father who sent me himself bears witness to me, but his words, his voice you have never heard. His form you have never seen. For had you seen his form, you would have seen me. Had you heard his voice, you would have heard me. You hear a mortal voice. You see a mortal frame, but you do not see me. If you saw me, you will see him. That's what he's saying. And the only one who saw was the state of consciousness called Peter. After he departs this world, those that I've just mentioned, in these states, they will see the truth of what I'm talking about. And you will know that not one person is greater than the other. We are all one. There is only God in the world. Let no one think for one moment that the wisdom of this world will stake any chance whatsoever in the world to come. The wisest of men is like foolishness in the eyes of God. The strength of man, or the power of the world, would mean nothing. We speak of a nuclear age. That is like a little firecracker. We speak of this enormous power that man has discovered, the nuclear age. Can you compare that to this kind of a power? That you can stop time and everything stands still? And then you change the motivation of the frozen world, and then release the world that you froze, and it executes your change command. Do you know of any power comparable to that? Freeze the entire world, and time stands still, and you change the motivation, and then release the frozen world, and once more it becomes reanimated, all from within you. You don't do it on the outside. You freeze it, and you actually feel it stand still within you. So I started off by telling you all things exist in the human imagination. And one day you'll stand still, and the whole thing will stand still. And then, having changed the motivation, you simply release it. And it will move under compulsion, believing it wants to do it. Even the most horrible thing in the world, if that's what you did. But you will not have this power until you are first, I would say, embraced and incorporated into the body of love. Because with this power, not motivated by love, what horrible things you could do in this world. You will never possess this power until you're embraced and incorporated into the body of love. You will stand before infinite love, and it's man. It is the risen Lord. And when you answer in the words of Paul, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. Love embraces you, and love sends you. You're still weak because you're still wearing the cross. The only cross he ever wore is the human body. The only cross that Christ ever wore. No wooden cross. He was never crucified on any wooden cross. He was crucified at the birth of a child. That is when Christ is crucified. And he wears it until the very end, when he comes into the state called the birth of Christ. And you're born from your own skull. That's where you're born. Not from the womb of a woman. That's crucifixion. You are born from the skull, your own skull. And you come out of it. And then memory returns. The whole thing is the returning of memory. You never left your immortal home, save in your dream. But you had to dream the dream of life. As your forefathers did, so must you. And in the end, we are all one. One universal family. Without loss of identity, we awaken from it all, and we are God the Father. So where do you live? Well, where you live psychologically, may I tell you, is entirely up to you. I repeat, you live in that state of consciousness to which you most often return. You could tonight determine to be, and you name it, you want to be wealthy, all right, it means nothing. It's a shadow anyway. But if that's what you want to be secure, what would the feeling be like if you were? You assume that you are, and that assumption may be denied at the moment of the assumption, denied by your senses, denied by reason. But if you dare to persist in that assumption, it will harden into fact.